This place, this sacred place, is where we all got our beginning. It was actually against the law in Birmingham to refer to Black people as Mr. or Mrs. And that law was in force even up until 1963. But on Sunday, in the church, you were First Lady, you were Reverend, you were Deacon, you were the head of the usher board. It was like the church gave you personhood. You were somebody. So it was in the church that the movement as we know it started, when pastors stood up and said, no, that we deserve the same thing that everyone else in the community had. That it's one thing to have all of the burdens of citizenship, but none of the privileges. So it's out of the church, out of this safe environment, that we understood that we were somebody.
I was one of 3 Jewish employees out of 700. And what I found were people there who not only were they curious about my Judaism, but they were knowledgeable about their faith. What I learned from the Christian people and their pride and knowledge that started me on a journey to be proud and knowledgeable as a Jew. There are so many values in Judaism that teach us about dignity and respect for other people. One of these values is tzedakah. And a lot of people think tzedakah is charity, but tzedakah really means justice. And what it means is that the scales are not balanced. Some of us have greater opportunities than others. And what we're doing with our tzedakah is we're helping to right that balance. We want for everybody to have opportunities in this world, and we all are deserving of having those opportunities.
First memory of me being a part of a Muslim tradition was as a child during Ramadan. So it's a month of really family and friends gathering around food after being hungry for a really long time. So for me as a child growing up, it was a lot of dessert, a lot of cake, a lot of fun. I was born and raised in Germany. So I always, even before I opted to put on my hijab, I always looked different. There were certainly a time when somebody would pull down a window when we were standing at a red traffic light and say something really nasty. But thankfully, I can kind of count them on one hand. During training as physicians, we spend long hours in the hospital. During those moments, there were a lot of these conversations like, oh, I always wondered, why is this and why is that? And oh, that's like, not much different than what we do. Those were the moments where I felt, people really were looking at things differently. We learn from each other.
Faith drives our work at Christ Health Center. The idea that people are triune beings, body, mind, and spirit. And to neglect any part of that, how do you bring health? And the teaching ministry of Jesus was marked by healing. It wasn't just marked by good words or good ideas, it was marked by an actual difference in the health of somebody's life. This whole idea of who we are as a people was informed by looking after the widow, the orphan, the alien in the land. All through Scripture it weaves through. And so the idea of why Christ Health Center exists is there were hurting people who didn't have access, but it was a way of connecting people to life. And as we help our neighbors and we bring our skill, they bring their skill and their life to us. And together we create a life that looks a lot more like heaven reproduced on earth.
Growing up in India, seeing multiple faiths, multiple religions, that comes at the very elementary level for us. The apartment where I grew up, my next door neighbor is a Christian family. On one level up, I had a Sikh family. We had Muslim, we had a Jewish family, we had a Parsi family. So we saw Zoroastrianism, Buddhism, Hinduism, Sikhism, Christianity, all live side by side. We have this concept of Matrabhumi and Karmabhumi. Matrabhumi is your motherland, where you were born. Karmabhumi is where you live, right? Birmingham is my Karmabhumi. I get from this community, I need to give back to this community. So while we were building this basement, we decided to have a second kitchen. A group of our friends, we get together, we do cooking for the homeless once a month here. When we don't understand each other's point of view, that's when the differences come. But if you take the time, you have empathy, and you get yourself in other person's shoes and understand their point of view, love, respect will automatically emerge out of that.
What I'd like to see in Birmingham is really all of us of different religions living together and breaking bread in each other's homes, and our children playing with each other, really being part of each other's lives.
I am new to the interfaith activities. I just started maybe like a year ago. I absolutely love it. I appreciate that the conversation is eye to eye and not, top down or, I love that, and I hope that there's more of it expanding to the youth. I think that's kind of like the future of Birmingham.
Respecting each other, just having love and giving the other person the opportunity to express themselves, listening to the other person. I think that's the most important thing.
I love Christ Health Center as a vehicle of, I have come to destroy the dividing wall of hate. Rich and poor, black and white, whatever other dividing identity we want to find, we can find common ground.
Birmingham's story is America's story. But right now, working together, do you know we can write a different ending? We really can. Just think about it. What would happen if we really joined forces to bring about real change? If we could just take our community forward and showcase Birmingham's story as America's story, and how together what people thought would have happened, could have happened, or should have happened, we get a chance to write the ending and make our story one that we'll all be proud of.